Welcome, detectives, servants, and anthropomorphic embodiments of concepts, to the 243rd episode of an Unearthly podcast, streaming live on the 31st of January 2018, and featuring Big Finish's Master, written by Joseph Lidster and starring Geoffrey Beevers as Dr. John Smith and Sylvester McCoy as Dr. Vaughn Sutton. I am Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black, and I apparently cannot speak. With me are Mad Matt Winchell,
36 hours caffeine-free, no headache.
Randy Ronson McCulloch,
And you sound a lot better than you did yesterday.
Aaron Romeo Moon Burke,
My tummy's feeling slightly less woozy.
and Tim the Enchanter Sheridan.
Wonder Twin powers activate!
Yay!
All right.
Wonder Twin, grow me a new stomach.
Still think you should talk to your doctor about seeing if you're getting a peptic ulcer.
That or I think you really need to learn to start doing something to doctor yourself before you eat something.
I'm
No.
supposed to be taking my my acid reflux medicine half an hour before I eat, but I almost always forget that. So
Yeah.
I'm taking it afterwards, so
Shame.
it's less effective.
I'm learning to be more anal retentive about my medication because otherwise that can lead me, like 3 different kinds of dead.
Yeah.
A mild case of deadness.
But yeah, I went 36 hours without caffeine just to prove that I could. And then I
I
had
don't
to
know
go
if I
immediately
could-
go back because I
Well-
ran out of Hawaiian Punch.
So
I-
guess who's playing Titan Quest, Matt?
I definitely could not do that during the semester, like right now. I would bad things would happen.
I
Oh,
actually went through it
madness.
just fine.
I went through about 4 months without caffeine, and I only recently was able to start getting it back.
I
And
would
I-
lose at least one job, probably two, if I tried to go without caffeine for a week.
Now, I've gone back, and I'm only on like occasional spurts of Diet Pepsi. Which we really should have picked up some Diet Pepsi at the store, because that would have given me something to drink other than water. I've been asked.
Yeah, I keep forgetting your water enhancers.
Yes, you do. We went to the store on Saturday. I realized on Monday that I forgot to pick up some Crystal Light, which is what I drank. Because it's no sugar, but I get like Crystal Light fruit punch. I was going to get some completely forgot it. Asked her to get me it on Monday, and she forgot on the way home, and she didn't work yesterday. So I asked her again today, and I
You could
still don't have
driven
it.
me to the store yesterday.
To be honest, I was feeling like shit yesterday.
Vixie
Appar-
says I once went a week without cocaine.
I don't know
So-
if I can beat that.
Right.
Technically, I have two.
Like,
Yeah, I'll say that's
so-
a goal everybody should
so
have.
we should write that up on little known facts about Vixie. Apparently, we can add to the list that, like Dr. Roxo, he does cocaine.
I thought he was
Okay.
like Snowflame and he derives power from cocaine.
No flame! Feels
Snow
no pain.
If you wanna wake up, you got to eat 'em up, Pop-Tarts. If you're tired and you wanna get
On
right,
tonight's
Pop-Tarts.
Cuckoo, cuckoo.
We have the news and birthdays. I don't think we have any geek talk again. I think none of us have been to see movies. Anybody seen a movie recently?
I'm waiting for the movies to come out next month.
Yeah, I
Okay.
haven't seen anything.
January's a
Alright.
dead month.
I don't really have a rant, so we're not in a rant. No reviews of shame, because we're all caught up. So, let's go ahead. And I only have a couple of birthdays this week.
Yeah.
Starting on the 29th of January, so earlier this week, Katrin Stewart, who played Jenny Flint, part of the Paternoster Gang, turned 30. Katrin has been in the television series Bang, as well as playing Emma Morris on Stella. I don't know anything about those two shows. You can figure it out from there. And then yesterday, the 30th of January, we had the birthday of Daphne Ashbrook, who you might remember as Dr. Grace Holloway from the TV movie back in 1996. She turned 55. We haven't seen much from Daphne in the last year or two, as the last movie she was scheduled to be in, which was a TV movie, by the way, is still stuck in development hell. So I don't know. I haven't seen her do anything. One would assume she's on stage.
Quite possibly, because she is originally British, is she not?
Not sure. I actually don't know much about Daphne. I know she still does the Doctor Who circuit.
Yeah, she does the Doctor Who circuit at
She's
least.
American, actually.
I know she does work for Big Finish. She was born in Long Beach, so yeah, she's very American.
Very American, yeah. Never mind.
Yeah. So, yep. Actually, I might have a rant, but it's nothing to do with anything important, so... we'll talk about that.
Just a thought came along in case we have time.
Something that's earlier, and we'll have time. We want to move ahead to Lost Stories?
Yep.
No, yeah, geez, we're already up to Lost Stories. Holy cow!
Only 2 birthdays. Go on.
Oh yeah, and man, like one of the guys that I actually enjoyed watching, from Revenge of the Cybermen, Jeremy Wilkin has passed away at the age of 87. They list the year of his death as 2017.
Oh.
That's because they're only reporting it now.
Yeah, it was 19th of December 2017.
Jeez.
Passed away on.
Yeah, so
Took a while.
That was like 6 weeks ago.
He probably lived in some rural part of Britain, and it just kind of took a while to get through the wire. You know, that kind of thing.
Or the family asked it to be kept quiet while they handled arrangements or something.
Something like that, yeah.
He lived for many years in Canada, establishing a career as a television actor.
So it could be
Not
that
to say that he still lived there, but maybe he went back after he retired. Anyway, but yes, he is known as specifically Professor Kelman in the 1975 Doctor Who Revenge of the Cybermen. He's also done tons and tons of stuff for Gary Anderson, who of course created Thunderbirds. He did the voice of Virgil Tracy in the second season onward. Captain Ochre, Captain Black, in the Captain Scarlet and the Mysterions, and tons of other stuff.
Captain
those
Scarlet.
little marionette shows that were really kind of cool to look at anyway.
But yeah, that was Gary Anderson, by the way.
Gary Anderson. Yeah, you're talking about. He was on UFO.
He was
yeah,
on
that
UFO.
that wonderful show. That showed the far future world of 1980.
And then also a big thing that he was on. He played Dev Tarrant in Blake 7
for the last 2 seasons, I believe, or at least the last season. He was
otherwise known as the man who betrayed Blake in Blake 7.
So yeah, probably the last 2 seasons.
Quite a bit of a downer.
Spoilers.
Not really betrayed. Mistook. You would have to see the episode Blake, which is the ultimate downer for watching a series for 4 years. I'm going to spoil it because it's 1980. In the end, everybody dies.
Yeah.
Just this once. Everybody dies.
Yeah.
Except
it's
the
probably
evil
one of the
overlords.
most depressing TV shows you will ever see.
And yet it was so good. The first 3 seasons were so good, and then the entire 4th season is leading up to that episode where they finally meet Blake after looking for him for 2 years. Dev and Tarrant mistakes the fact that he believes Blake had betrayed him, and then he's shot by Avon. God damn it. And then it turns out that the entire thing was a Federation plot that had fooled even Blake. Oh God, that was a depressing ending. Anyway.
Yep, we're all just puppets.
Yes.
Meanwhile, somewhere out there, there's a voice shouting,
Also,
"What a twist!"
Actually, there's a cat screaming as he runs around like a mad cat.
Actually,
That would
running
be Neville.
running up and down the cat structure. Just up and down, up and down. Apparently, from what I can tell, Wilkin lived in Canada. That might be why it's been so long to
Get around.
Yeah, especially if he lived out in like somewhere in like rural British Columbia.
Yeah, I could have been out in the boonies, and that would have taken a while to spread word.
Because if you're a Canadian actor, you worked in Vancouver, which means you
Or
had a
Toronto.
house. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Apparently, he was in Toronto, Canada. So it was the Toronto group, not the Vancouver group. So somewhere out in rural Ontario, maybe. And it just took a while for them to remember to inform the UK, and that's why we're getting it now.
Mm.
Mhm.
Just theories, but yeah, that's sad.
Doesn't look much like Tarrant these days, let me tell you. Well, he doesn't. He looks like a corpse now, but you get my point.
God damn it, Randy.
Oh. Okay.
We're all going to hell. Hi, everybody. It's sure warmed out here. Oh my.
Yeah, we were all going to hell a long time ago.
Mhm.
Agreed.
The devil has been building that It's a Small World ride just for me. Has it waiting.
with a plethora of Arnold Rimmers?
No, I would prefer that to the actual It's a Small World ride. And them closing the door and leaving me in there for all eternity, just over and over and over again.
Just the annoying voices of shrill children singing that song over and over again.
For all eternity. Yes.
That happened once to someone where they were on the ride, but the track broke down for like an hour, but the music kept playing.
They
Oh,
were
God.
committed afterwards, weren't they?
Mm.
I'm pretty sure they released foaming at the mouth.
Because that would have driven me mad.
Yeah, I hope they at least got a free pretzel out of it.
I would have hoped they got at least a free hotel room after that.
I mean,
They're
this is
coming to
Disney.
take-
I wouldn't hold my breath.
Yes, they're coming to take me away. Haha. By the way, lawsuits from Disney can be directed at Bill Sylvia. Anyway, let's move on to episode news.
Yes, episode news. So, there is no current episode news, but there is future episode news. From Cultbox, we have news of a new cast member, Sharon D. Clark, who will be playing the role of Mary. She has appeared in Block 1 of the episodes that were shot by director Jamie Childs before Christmas.
I'm not seeing this. Oh, there it is.
And that means he'll be either in episode 1 or 7. 7. How big this role is, we will find out one day.
Mm-hmm.
You said
And-
Mary, and I hadn't looked, and I was thinking, oh, Lord of the Rings crossover, yay. But no.
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 We must help receive Mr. Frodo.
It also mentions that they're still filming the Block 2, which, if you remember, started in South Africa, but they're now back in the UK, still filming the same block, just doing the studio scenes now, probably.
Right.
Indeed.
Okay, so that's the episode news. Cast and crew
All right.
news.
So, Disney doesn't get to sue me, but David Tennant, it seems, did get some money from Rupert Murdoch and News Group. Where is the thing? So this is
It's-
from a March 2017 lawsuit relating to activities by journalists of the Sunday tabloid, which closed in 2011. What? Okay,
Ba-
okay. Okay,
Go
so
ahead.
something that happened,
Like years ago.
yeah.
Years and years ago. Probably back when he was on the
Okay.
show.
So it
Not-
was
not
related
quite.
to...
Not quite, but a little after he was off the show.
Mhm. He was one of 6 people to settle claims on Tuesday, including Sophia Myles, who played Renette in the Doctor Who story The Girl in the Fireplace.
What did they sue over?
What it's basically said is that apparently the news people paid to have celebrities' phones hacked.
But that says that's why the tabloid closed. It doesn't say if that's what happened to Tennant or not.
That's from what I understand, is that it was an invasion of privacy.
Come to think of it, with that comma placement, that the after it was revealed part could be referring to the lawsuit or the closure of the tabloid or both. It's hard to tell which from that
Yeah,
sentence.
this sounds like this was rather hastily written.
Yeah, so, yeah, I know. I'm managing to piece it together, is the fact that what happened is the news people had celebrities' phones hacked, and after this came to light, the Sunday tabloid closed, but that didn't stop Sophia Myles and David Tennant and a few other people suing News Group, which is owned by Rupert Murdoch. Or actually, it was News of the World. News of the World was the company. It was
News
a
of the World,
Sunday
yeah.
tabloid. Yeah. Over
capitalized tabloid. Never mind.
Yeah, I know. It's very.
They don't even.
written.
Yeah, they only mention the name of the tabloid once.
DoctorWhoNews.net. If you really do need a copy editor, please fire me an email. I would be happy.
Randy
to
can
work
fix up
for
your
you
stuff in no time. Yeah.
Yes, I'm very good at copy editing.
Another person who received damages from the company, possibly related to this, but he received this about 5 years ago, was a previous doctor, Christopher Eccleston, who received a public apology, substantial damages, and his legal costs.
So this is apparently they hacked a great number of celebrities' phones, and they're just getting kind of dealt with one at a time.
So
pretty
maybe
much. So Christopher Eccleston was higher up on the list.
Yep. Maybe in a little while we'll be able to announce Matt Smith winning a lawsuit for the same reason.
Possibly.
Either way, he's gotten money from it, and yeah, he was apparently the wronged party, so he's welcome to it.
Along with several others, so the list is probably ongoing.
Especially if it's coming out of Rupert Murdoch's pocket. And those pockets are pretty deep, so. Deeper now that he sold Fox to Disney.
Yeah.
For what
that
billion?
he sold Fox Entertainment, yeah.
Yeah, sold Fox IP to Disney for like, what was it, $58 billion? Something.
He's gonna need it to keep from going under.
Mm.
Of all the damages he's having to pay off for now.
All right, moving on. Phantom Events has decided to sell off a limited number of Alistair Pearson art in aid of the People's Dispensary for Sick Animals, a veterinary charity in the UK. Each card is available for £5 per A4 print, plus an additional £1 per order towards postage. These look like they are based off the old Target book covers. Even so, this is pretty freaking sweet.
These are some wonderful book covers, if that's true.
Mind you, I mean, it's improved versions of the book covers.
Probably that too.
I'm looking at like one of them that's obviously from Enemy of the World, and I remember that particular cover. It didn't look as nice.
So these are touched up, recently made versions then.
I think they're recolored. They're probably recolored by the same artist.
Yeah, so the artist has come back several years later to retouch these and make them the way he would have preferred them now.
Mm-hmm.
And they look amazing so far.
And these are from the following episodes: Delta and the Bannermen, The Tomb of the Cybermen, The Enemy of the World, which I just mentioned, Revenge of the Cybermen, The Pirate Planet, The War Machines.
Yeah, I see that one.
5 Doctors.
See that one.
Remembrance of the Daleks. Mind Warp. Planet of the Daleks. The Talons of Wang Chiang.
That's Planet.
The Key to Time. Survival.
That one there.
And Pyramids of Mars.
Survival one looks really cool, by the way. I think I actually might have shown that last week, or the week that we did Survival.
And if you're interested in purchasing some of these, you can contact Fathom at their website, fathomevents.co.uk.
Yay.
Go Fathom. This looks awesome.
Yep.
How much is this?
It only lists it in
It's
British.
per order towards
Pound per order.
postage. Or five
£5
per
plus
print.
no extra pound per order. So
Plus,
might-
it's varying rates for overseas. So
yeah,
it might
so it'd be a lot higher. Probably something closer to like $20-25 overseas.
No, more like 10 to 12.
I'm thinking of like raising that postage
No,
though. For
I know.
cross-seas.
Even so, you're talking about an A4 print. You're not talking about a box.
Oh, true. I suppose it's gonna be flat and bubble wrapped and stuff.
Right.
Just hope they don't
Yeah.
bend it. Ooh.
I find it interesting that the Key to Time is listed as if it were a single story, but the Trial of a Time Lord episode is listed as its individual title instead of Trial of a Time Lord.
Which one was Oh, Mind Warp. Yeah, I guess
Yeah,
so.
Mind
Because
Warp.
yeah, I saw the picture. I'm like, why is Trial of a Time Lord not mentioned? I realized Mind Warp was.
And I know the fact that the Trial of the Key to Time had separate covers, but
Oh, definitely.
and the fact that the Pirate Planet, which is part of the Key to Time,
Is
is
right
listed. Yeah.
there.
Oh yeah, you're right.
That's weird.
I'm wondering if they meant either like the Rebos operation or the Armageddon factor.
Maybe
Something maybe. I don't know. But either way, lots of really nice art. Might have to
Yeah.
look into getting some of those if I can.
Yep.
I have a little bit of dosh since I'm not going to a convention this spring.
Aw. Should come visit.
Yeah, I should still come visit, and we should go back to that Asian restaurant. But anyway,
Moving on to books, Aaron.
Alright, so The Doctor's Monsters is going to be released soon, a 2-disc DVD on the 5th of March. It is a unique compilation of one documentary special, I Was a Doctor Who Monster, and 5 titles from Real Time Pictures' acclaimed Mythmakers series. So, for the first time, Doctor Who fans can learn about the men and women that brought to life the monsters that sent them behind the sofa. I Was a Doctor Who Monster is hosted by 7th Doctor Sylvester McCoy, and Mythmakers is presented by Nicholas Briggs. So,
Aww.
it's a special release. I thought this was supposed to be a book, but apparently it's a DVD release.
apparently it's
Okay.
it's a re-release of a DVD.
Okay, that was a misfire by me. But either way, it's a media release, so you have it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it's going to be presented by Coke Media. So, thank the Koch brothers for this.
That was me trying to read it and deal with it in a hurry and just put it in the wrong area.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yep.
Wow, we must rely on the news. We're almost already into Big Finish here.
Yep, we are into Big Finish.
It's Big Finish time.
Big Finish. So there's going to be some new short trips. Range kicks off in 2018 with The Authentic Experience, narrated by Nicola Bryant and written by Dan Starkey. And also the story Malevolent.
That's next month's short trip.
Next month's short trip. And it's performed by Bonnie Langford.
Mel.
Yep.
And it's a Mel-centric episode. You can tell by the name.
So, speaking of that name, is this supposed to be like a Doctor Who twist on the Sleeping Beauty thing? Malevolent?
I have no
Maleficent?
idea.
No, never mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is.
It is?
If you look at the freaking normally we don't read these anymore, but you look at the beginning of the
oh my god, yeah. Mirror, mirror on the wall. All right, yeah, we're going deep into fairy tale territory here.
Also coming soon, two with Camille Cordery as Jackie Tyler with the Metacrisis Doctor in The Siege of Big Ben and Flight into Hall.
Okay. So, after a while, Rose gets disgruntled and dumps the Metacrisis Doctor, and he winds up hanging out with Jackie? What the fuck?
It's like...
Head tilt? Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
yeah.
apparently that relationship wasn't as good as they thought it was, then. That's weird.
Well, no, I mean, it just seems like they're doing more with Camille Coudry than they are with Billy
Billy Piper, yeah. Maybe Billy Piper's hard to get right now?
Possible. Don't know what she's doing much at this point.
Well, she used to be a music artist. Maybe she's returned to that. Maybe she's doing stage acting. I don't know.
Possible she's on the stage.
Very probable.
I thought all of her shows, yeah, she's on stage.
Mm.
Still.
She must have just picked up something that got her super busy then.
Yeah, because I knew that Penny Dreadful was over, so.
Yeah.
And that was her last big thing, because she kind of went from Doctor Who to Secret Diary of a Call Girl, almost, back to back. And then she bounced around for about 3 years before doing Penny Dreadful, and it looks like she was on stage those years.
So she's dropped Penny Dreadful, is continuing on stage, and she's just busy at the moment.
Yeah, as far as I can tell.
Whatever pays the bills.
Whatever she wants to do. Yeah, hey. Yeah, dear. Hey, dear.
Oh, dear. Now by Dubuque.
Okay, so moving on to the next, to upcoming releases, Tim.
Upcoming releases, we have Cyber Reality, the 6th series of Unit, and it comprises of 4 missions: Game Theory by Matt Fitton, Telepresence by Guy Adams, Code Silver by Guy Adams, and Master of Worlds by Matt Fitton.
Fitton and Adams seems to be pretty busy lately.
I think we've discussed these a little bit. Because this is also the ones that's actually lists now Derek Jacobi as the War Master.
Mm-hmm. I believe we mentioned that was going to possibly happen, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That they were in the works on something with that.
So, yeah, that's coming out. And that's coming out when, Tim?
That is coming out... where does it say? You pre-order... Will be released in May, and is available for pre-order now at £23 on CD and £20 on download.
There you go.
Alright. And then finally, we have Doctor Who Early Adventures. Starring Peter Purves as both the First Doctor and Stephen Taylor. And Maureen O'Brien as Vicky. And here's a series that harkens back to the classic black and white episodes of Doctor Who. And we have, in September 2018, The Dalek Occupation of Winter by David K. Barnes. In October, An Ideal World by Ian Potter. In November, Entanglement by Robert Kahn and Thomas Solinsky. And in December, The Crash of the UK-201 by Jonathan Morris.
If that first one isn't the title of a Game of Thrones crossover, nothing is.
Dun, 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 dun. The frost giants are coming.
Yeah, they don't have a
Walkers.
synopsis anywhere. Not even on Big Finish's website, so we don't know.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
Daleks versus White Walkers would be exceedingly fun. You have to admit. Anything could kick their ass, it would be frickin' Daleks.
Now I'm just imagining what is that as a dragon lands in the midst of a Dalek force.
I do not know, but its exterior is heavily armored.
The Daleks would exterminate a fucking dragon. I mean,
They would, but it would take like 2 or 3 of them focus firing for a few seconds to get it. A dragon
Special weapons Dalek required.
Yeah, special weapons Dalek so they can one-shot them.
That would be the Daleks taking King's Landing.
Geeky crossovers.
Davros on the Iron Throne. Not right. And you realize somewhere, some fan fiction person's going to be listening to this and start writing notes.
Oh, I'm pretty sure they already are.
If I get this as an entry to the fan fiction contest this year, I'll know that somebody's listening.
Special note, that probably means you automatically win.
If you want to win a fan fiction contest, send your letters to GeekCon at...
Actually, I think that's sending an email to fanfic contest at. Anyway,
I think that's it for news.
I
That
think
is
so.
it. We're a half hour in, and we are out of news and have no geek talk.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Unless somebody has any sci-fi news they wanted to bring up.
I've got nothing new. I mean, I'm still trying to fight my way through Critical Role, so that's nothing new.
Critical Role is awesome. I now own Blade Runner 2049.
I did finally
Got
finish.
a hard copy.
I did finally finish The Gifted.
The Gifted.
It's the.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Altered Carbon coming out on Netflix here.
Oh yeah, that'll be a big discussion. I still haven't gotten around to watch. Oh wait,
Have you watched Bright yet?
I haven't.
No, it's we just we finished The Gifted, and I thought it ended okay. Really liked the appearance of the 3-in-1, but I didn't like how they were handled compared to their comic book version.
It was weird because the subtitles referred to them as Frost triplets, so I thought that they were an original character, or like that they were this show's version of Emma.
No.
And left it at that. And then I found out, like, after the fact that they were actually characters with a completely different name. And I don't think the show out loud says Frost. I think that's only the
No, it's mentioned.
Is it really? Okay.
It's mentioned. It also mentions at one point their last name was listed as being Cuckoo because they're the Stepford
which
Cuckoo,
which is their comic name.
Yeah. But even in the comics, they're biologically they're basically biological clone daughters of Emma Frost. So.
Oh, okay. Got you.
That would explain a lot there then. Yeah. What show is this?
This is The Gifted.
Okay, this is still The Gifted. All right.
Yep, it takes place in the X-Men universe.
Well, yeah, they specifically say it's an X-Men AU.
Not too much.
No, but like the behind the scenes, they specifically mentioned that they were like instructed to make it an AU. So it's not intended to cross over with the movies. It sounds like.
At least not originally, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean it could always change, of course.
Yeah, I always thought it was in the same universe as Logan, but that was me.
Logan's AU too, so that makes sense.
Yeah, technically, there's a bit of disjoint there with Logan. So even though that technically could work because it's more modern day compared to where X-Men has been for the last couple of movies.
Of course, who knows? Because between Thanos and Scarlet Witch and whoever is going to destroy the time zone and merge the two universes, there could be all kinds of AUs.
Either that, or are the X-Men's going to go through a complete reboot and be thrown into the MCU?
Which is possible.
It's just like, okay, Dark Phoenix, that's your last movie. We're going to hire a whole new cast of X-Men. And in the background, Hugh Jackman's going to be going, "Aw, I retire, and you guys finally get to play."
I'm sure they'll bring in Hugh Jackman for at least a cameo or something.
I'm pretty sure that there's going to be some upcoming like mutant references going into things like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff. I saw
a headline about mutants being mentioned in the MCU, but I didn't click it to see what they were talking about. I didn't know if that was Runaways or what, but I don't recall anything saying the word mutant in the MCU. Oh, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. The only thing running at the time was Runaways and S.H.I.E.L.D., I think. So
I don't know. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I thought would have been done before the buyout, but maybe I haven't.
Oh yeah, you're right. So.
Yeah,
it shouldn't. Both of those should have been done before the buyout happened. But like I said, it might be the big thing to come out next season.
Right.
Because now that they have it, they can run with it. And they haven't been able to use mutants, so they've all been using the Inhumans. Only the Inhumans bombed.
And then there's that mutant in the Runaways who just has unexplained powers.
Yeah, technically she got it from holding a big freaking rock or something. I don't know. It's weird.
It's weird.
Yeah, we finished The Runaways, too. So, all caught up on those. I'll probably start tackling Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. next, but trying to get through the last 20 to 30-odd episodes of Critical Role. And then I'm free to start pursuing other stuff.
You're almost there.
Anyway, I mentioned I have a rant, and it's a weird rant.
Okay.
So, I was reading BBC News today, and I discovered that the Isle of Man is trying to institute a new what they are, the equivalent of the national food for the Isle of Man. And this is what apparently England calls chips, cheese, and gravy.
Poutine.
I was about to say.
And here's the thing. Somebody brought that up. And the section went nuts. Absolutely nutso, with people trying to defend chips, cheese, and gravy as not being poutine.
It's freaking poutine. Get over it.
That's what I said.
It is, and I looked at it further, and at the same time, it isn't.
Although I think for it to be poutine, it's supposed to technically be curds. Like, we don't call it that here.
Okay. Let me lay down the differences between these two dishes.
Okay.
Poutine, as we know, is like the national junk food of Canada. It was invented in Quebec somewhere in the 1950s and has basically gone around the world now as being one of the greatest drunk foods ever, I read recently. It is chips, cut Canadians, Canadians, which are largely the same as U.S. chips, I believe.
AKA fries. Sorry, I think Discord hung up again. Oh wow. The stream is
style of French fries, yeah. Which you put on a gravy that's usually a thin gravy based on usually turkey or chicken or some kind of brown light gravy. And then you put cheese curds on the top and prep it ready to go. Chips, cheese, and gravy. Take British chips, which are thicker than ours and closer to what we call wedge fries, but not quite.
Mm-hmm.
There's a fundamental difference between British chips and our chips. They're bigger, thicker, flakier. And then in this plan, you sprinkle on top sprinkled cheddar cheese. Like,
Also
shredded cheddar cheese. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
And then you put on heavy gravy, like heavy beef gravy. So there are some fundamental between the things, but it's still
pretty much poutine.
The version that's common here, which is probably inferior to both, is regular American cut French fries, American cheese, and then gravy over the top.
We aren't even going to talk about that. No. Sit down, Bill.
Sit down.
We're not even going to talk about that.
No, we are going to talk about that. Get some cheddar in you.
Shredded American cheese is not cheese. It's fucking plastic.
Get some real cheddar in you, goddammit.
Tell that to the diners.
Most of us here are from Wisconsin.
I was going to say it's mostly chili.
Yellow cheddar, white cheddar, get something.
We aren't just professionals when it comes to cheese. We're artists. There's a reason Wisconsin cheese has won most of the blue ribbons in world cheese competitions. We have taken making cheese and turned it into an art form.
You are auteurs.
Whereas Connecticut
even our casuals are auteurs, yes.
We do have cows and we do have cheese, but it is not anything special.
Vermont has some good cheese. I mean, a good Vermont white cheddar is good. It's still not better than our cheese. California claims to be the king of cheese because they make so much cheese.
It's all plastic garbage.
It's all
Quantity
shit.
is not called.
It's all shit.
Quality.
Their ace cheese manufacturers are our mediocre grade. We fucking live our cheese. We live up to our reputation as being America's dairy land. we love our cheese. First of all, a lot of people were arguing about this, the fact that cheese, they were like, oh, don't put your horrid cheese curds in my chips, cheese, and gravy. All cheese is cheese curds.
Really?
That's what I said.
I thought.
Yeah. It basically
what?
starts off as giant cheese curds, and then you slice it or you block it or whatever.
You press it in a you
press
fold it. You press it into what basically a cheese wheel, and then leave it sit for a while, and it becomes cheese. But
Okay,
it's
yeah, 'cause
basically
I thought curds were softer at the very least. So. That
well,
makes
yeah,
sense.
the pressing it into the cheese wheel takes more of the moisture out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why cheese curds are softer, but they're the same damn thing.
Got you.
So saying cheese curds are terrible, blah, 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 you must have just had shitty cheese curds. Come here to Wisconsin, taste our cheese curds.
They come in multiple flavors, multiple kinds. Take some. We got more than enough to share.
Now, I'm not saying that the Isle of Man needs to fess up and start saying it's poutine. Just stop saying it's not poutine. Just agree to disagree and stop raising a stink on it.
Stop lying.
I am not even going to say that they got the idea from Canada. This is what's called a great idea being repeated in different places at different times.
Right.
Because if you've ever had poutine or chips, cheese, and gravy, you know that these are three tastes that taste great together.
Mm-hmm.
It is probably one of the worst things in the world for you. Gravy's not good for you. Cheese isn't good for you. Fries aren't good for you. But
Sprinkle some
God,
bacon.
does it taste well together.
Yep.
And I mean, around here we have chili cheese fries. And that's the
Chili
same
cheese
thing.
fries
It's
are
French,
also good.
It's French fries with chili and cheese. The only difference is you just want the gravy, and that's cool.
I wonder where the best
somebody-
intersection between chili and cheese is, because chili is mainly known for a few southern states, and cheese you just went on a rant about. So I'm wondering where the best intersection.
Because
would be.
chili came up to the north, and we added the cheese because it's better.
I honestly, I don't know. I don't know. I would have to say somewhere around St. Louis, or somewhere between St. Louis and Chicago would be where that intersection
Chicago
is
is probably where that hit. I betcha.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
Missouri is.
But somebody on the same thing mentioned something that's even better than chips, cheese, and gravy, and that's chips, cheese, and curry.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Think about that. Think about that.
That is an interesting thought.
It is an interesting conjecture.
Although I've never had any sort of curry with cheese.
Apparently, some people swear it's the greatest thing over
Although,
there.
if this is British curry is different than the curry we're most likely to know. It's less
It
dense.
depends upon
vegetarian-
whose kind of curry you're looking at.
I believe korma curry, it's basically little lumps of cheese placed in the curry sauce with curry sauce over the tops of that.
And you got to remember that most U.S. Indian food came to us to the U.S. by way of Britain. So,
Yeah, so Britain got it first, and then it went from Britain to us.
Chicken tikka masala, one of the most famous Indian foods over here, is an Indian. It was invented in London.
Okay. I just more mean if the chef immigrated from India, it's going to be spicier than if they immigrated from London.
Yeah, but the style of food came to us from England. It kind of went from India to England, of course, because India used to be a colony of the British Empire.
For a long while.
And then we got it from British immigrants or British Indian immigrants coming over to the U.S. and bringing the food style. Now we're getting it direct from India, but that's where it started. But yeah, things like tikka masala came across because Londoners weren't too fond of tandoori chicken without sauce, because of course British people are used to having sauce on their meat. So are we. So they invented tikka masala to put on it, and it just, became the match made in heaven there for Indian food. I know Erin loves it. That's what she always gets when we go out for Indian food.
Yeah. like my favoriteest thing.
I'm more of a Vindaloo guy, but that's me. In fact, we had tonight. She had chicken tikka masala, and I had lamb Vindaloo.
That sounds good.
Oh yeah, it was.
Ooh, yeah.
I've only had chicken vindaloo, but
Oh, I've had different. I've had.
I need to have more Vindaloos.
I know.
Okay. This is it, Aaron. Next time Bill comes down here to GeekCon, we are finding time to take his ass to Daba
Yeah.
and have lamb Vindaloo.
right. Does that make it time for?
I've been to the Indian restaurants over there, Bill. They're good.
Yeah, I don't even think we took you to Daba, Matt. I think we took you to the one that's over closer
we took you to the other one.
Mm.
Yeah. Daba's the one that Aaron and I tend to go to on Christmas Eve, just not this year because of restrictions.
So yeah, you need to take me to your regular place then.
Yeah, well, it's not that far from the con, really. It's literally down a block and a half from the con. I used to order to it when I lived on that same road.
They have a really good tandoori platter with all kinds of different meats that are cooked in the clay pots.
Yeah,
Really good.
Yep. So anyway, that was my rant. That was just my rant on stop trying.
That's our ramble.
Bill's just like, my God.
That was hungry and he's going to have to order pizza.
Yeah.
Right, I'm saying if you keep going, I'm going to need to eat a second dinner.
We're going to
What
turn
about
Bill to a
second
hobbit.
breakfast? Yeah. I'm already sitting here going, I know there's one piece of naan left in the kitchen.
I'm sitting here going, oh my God, my stomach's woozy again. Just as it was feeling better.
But no, I'm just saying, stop calling chips, cheese, and gravy, and stop trying to make a point that it's not poutine. And the poutine people, stop trying to make a point it is. Just let it live.
Let it go.
Everybody, yeah, let it go. Let it go. While we're sitting in the land of snow, yeah. Just let people enjoy it. You know it's good. We know it's good. Stop trying to convert other people to your reality. Because we will deny your reality and substitute our own. Thank you. Have a nice night. Okay. So that was my rant.
As I now share images of poutine with the stream.
So we're up to the 5-minute challenge.
I believe Bill did it last time, or was it you that did it last time?
Randy did it last time.
Randy did it last time. And I believe I did a time or two before that.
Yes.
So is it back down to Tim and Bill again?
Sounds like it.
It is. I can give it a shot.
Okay.
Tim is willing to give it a shot. All right. Closing the poutine image.
Okay.
And here's the stopwatch. By the way, yes, I noticed that the internet kind of hanged for a second there, but apparently everything went fine. I don't see a second video yet.
Okay.
Anyways, timer's ready. You ready, Tim?
I am ready.
All right, start in 3, 2, 1, go.
So, an assassin with a sexy voice is gonna shoot someone, but then the Seventh Doctor comes up and says, "Hey, don't do that. Well, you can still do that, but let me tell you a story." And the assassin says, "Yeah, sure, whatever, you know." And so the Doctor tells the story about this guy named Dr. John Smith, who's in a house that's haunted. Ooh. And it's his birthday, except he has amnesia. So it's not really his birthday, but it's the anniversary of the day he appeared in this town called Mablubada. And
Are you looking for us to fill in the blank? Just keep going.
And he and he's
Perfect
getting
helium.
together with his best friend Victor, the adjudicator, and
Adjudicator, yes. Continue.
adjudicator, and his wife, who runs a hostel, you know, for like homeless and battered women, apparently, or like the downtrodden, you know, the less fortunate.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like they talk about things like how there's a curse on the house, and also that there's a rash of murders happening in the town, and Dr. John Smith is like, "Oh no, I could have done something." But apparently, he's also complaining about the cat, and there's a new maid called Jade the maid. So they're all talking about how these murders are like coming in, and the dead bodies are always under a green sheet with their hearts removed. But there's a big storm, and someone comes to the house. An unexpected guest comes to the house for the big birthday celebration, and it turns out to be the doctor. And the doctor seems to recognize Dr. John Smith, who is amnesic and disfigured. And it turns out that the doctor made a deal with death. Yes, death herself, like or the personification of death. I don't know if it's actually death, but
Thanos' girlfriend.
Yeah, Thanos' girlfriend.
I will argue that part later.
Fair.
That she would turn the Master normal for 10 years, and that is who Dr. John Smith is. It's revealed that the person murdering all the women who were prostitutes was actually Victor, because Victor was in love with his wife, but his wife was in love with Dr. John Smith, and in the end, Victor murders his wife. That's not me doing that rustling sound.
Yeah, who is that?
Sorry. I'm just trying to bundle up.
Continue.
Murders his wife in a jealous rage, and the John Smith goes back to being the Master, and it's revealed that the assassin who the doctor was telling this whole story to, was also Death, and it turns out that Jade was Death. So, like, Death really gets around in this episode, and it's all like, yeah, the Master was a good guy for 10 years, then he's not. The end.
Kind of, but not quite. But anyways, you got that in 3 minutes, 55 seconds.
Knock 10 seconds off for Aaron's wrestling.
So about 45 seconds.
I think you skipped an episode or so.
Yeah,
he skipped a bit. He skipped quite a bit at the very end there. He apparently must have been confused by that.
All right. So, with that confusion, we'll move on to our likes and dislikes. And Bill, you're up first. What did you like about this?
I'm going to say Geoffrey Beevers playing John Smith and the Master and doing a hell of a good job of it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Could not agree more. He was amazing in this one.
Got a chance to really stretch his acting chops.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least his voice acting chops. Anyway.
This is one of the few times where using his Master voice, he can, he gets more of a range than campy evil.
Yeah, he got downright sinister with it.
He didn't, and he was able to do compassionate at the same time.
And then he was able to play the compassionate character and other things too with it. Yeah.
I don't know if he's had big finish roles other than the Master, but this definitely indicates that he has the talent for it.
Yeah, he's definitely grown the talent since the last time he played the Master.
Yeah, and I don't really have a place to look that up either, so. Okay. Matt, how about you?
Actually, Bill kind of took mine, but I liked the really sinister mystery mood to it. Like, you can almost forget that the Master's the Master for a while and try to figure out what all these weird connections are, because there's lots of references that keep going back and forth on each other in this. And you gotta wonder what's really going on and what's actually the truth and what isn't at some points.
It almost plays out like a whodunit or a Victorian.
A Victorian murder mystery, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very gothic.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very Holmesian.
Mm-hmm.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. Aaron, how about you?
I liked the discussion between the Doctor and John Smith particularly about the nature of evil. and where it's all coming from, and just kind of their general discourses together is really, I really enjoyed that.
He talks with what's his name, Victor? Is that right?
I think so.
About that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The adjudicator.
Mm-hmm. About how he has to decide things on moral and ethical grounds too, rather than just the law and stuff, I think.
I am the law. Okay, Tim, how about you?
I really liked Victor and his performance, like the way he shifted from when he was himself to when he was like being possessed by the house, to like the reveal of it seems like there's this classic thing where when the killer is revealed to be the killer, then it's like this person like is like, and it's like he no longer has to hide his insanity, so he just goes on this ranting, raving thing that you don't expect. That it's so remarkable that, and I think this was a better example of that.
When he tries to justify himself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, as for me, I love Sylvester McCoy's basically his mannerism in this. He's very much his classical self, and it really shows.
Mm-hmm.
And is really enjoyable.
Oh, they mentioned he doesn't play the spoons anymore.
Yeah, well,
they mentioned the spoons.
Mm-hmm.
We can assume this is post Ace.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, he is solo in this, so yeah. If Ace is still around, she's obviously off busy with something else at the moment.
Yep. All right. So that's really what we liked. What about what we didn't like? And Bill, you're first.
I'm not a huge fan of the whole thing about the master is the doctor's fault. Like,
yes, I did not.
I mean,
yes,
it was kind of done with the Daleks, but at least that was subtle enough where it was believable that the doctor played into it, but it would have happened without him. Whereas here, it's basically like, oh, everyone who was ever killed by the master is pretty much because of the doctor.
This seems to contradict the explanation given in Utopia and Sound of the Drums.
Well, yeah, this was years before that. This was before the Doctor Who run even started.
Yeah, this was 2004, sometime in probably early fall.
Actually, okay, I thought this was 2003, but yeah, okay.
Oh, no, because the next story is the 40th anniversary special, so it should be November.
Which would have been 2003.
Ah, shoot, you're right. Yeah, on 2003 then. Yep. I don't know why I thought I probably thought 40th equals 4, but that was stupid.
No.
Yeah.
So this story's place in canon is questionable?
Oh yeah, this has been decanonized.
Yeah, technically it's been decanonized. And yeah, I agree. I don't agree with the idea of blaming the doctor for everything.
Yeah, it's pretty much just
that part did seem a little overly far stretching.
Yep.
Both the doctor and Rassilon's fault evenly.
Yeah, I didn't like that at all. That's one of the things that really stuck in my craw about this episode. And I'm glad, well, it wasn't really canon in the first place, but I'm glad it's completely and utterly shoved out a canon possibility now. Because we've gotten the origin of the Master now.
Although I did like the other parts of the origin. But we'll talk about that later.
Okay, well, actually, your turn to talk next, Matt.
Well, my turn to talk about the thing I didn't like about this overall. Thing I didn't like about it overall. I'm trying to think of anything that took me out of it, and I can't really honestly think about it. It's one of the few. I might have to actually skip on this one. Yeah, I have to skip on this. I can't think of anything overall. I can think of like small scenes here or there that took me out of it, but I can't think of anything overall that hasn't been mentioned yet.
All right. Aaron, how about you?
I didn't like the idea of Jade being death. Like, maybe if she was something else that had fooled the Master or was, like, compelling the Master to do things, or compelling the other people to do stuff too. But like just having her be this kind of personification of death, it's just really obtuse or something. It's just too grandiose, and
I don't mind the idea of it, but the fact that it is quote unquote death, that was a little head tilting.
And I if it were an alien, if it were very powerful, almost godlike alien being like the Black Guardian or something, that could be taken for death.
Just stop right there, Aaron. You basically hit it on the head.
Yeah.
If this had been the Black Guardian.
Yeah. That would have been perfect.
Beautiful.
And I think this is one of those times where, since this is still in Big Finish's first 50, where they're basically still embracing
They're still touchy-feely,
everything good, bad, and ugly about the Virgin novels, and just trying to treat everything equally. Whereas I think past that point, they started to be a lot more discerning with good story versus poor idea.
Yeah. Well, also, not long after this, the new series came in, and they had to start making sure that they weren't going
Things were more accessible to people who hadn't been reading since '89.
And they didn't want to, off-put the canonical stuff either, so. But anyway, I'm going to go more into yours in a bit, but let's have Tim have his speak first.
Okay, so this is like I liked it, but I didn't like it sort of thing. Like I thought the concepts it brought up, like the nature of good and evil, nature versus nurture, and like are people like psychotic or just like is there something that evil or just a different way of looking at the things, But at the same time, I thought there were times when like it sort of bogged the story down, and it didn't flow as smoothly, or was.
Okay, I think I could see that.
Yeah, I think I can too. Or they just would debate it endlessly, and you're just eventually to the point where you're like, get on with it!
Yeah. It's like, don't bore us, get to the chorus.
Yeah, I had a little bit of that. This, even Aaron mentioned that this seemed long to her. So, yeah.
I think it's partial. I don't think they had enough story for 4 parts, but they were trying to stretch it out.
And they stretched a little bit too far.
It's like, if they had dealt more with, like, the murder mystery, it seemed like the murder mystery just seemed, like, tacked on, like, to, like make, like, justify the plot.
Basically, yeah, to some degree.
It's something I think that Big Finish will eventually get better at.
Yeah, and again, we got to remind ourselves this is like the early stuff, and yeah, they were a little touchy-feely at the beginning. It took them about a year or two before they started to get a little bit better at it, and start cutting off some of the odd ideas from the novelizations.
Yeah, they had to get over this whole novelization stuff first, and it took them a while. I think they didn't really get over it until after Zagreus.
Which is the following story after this one.
Almost started listening to that, and I'm like, no, I don't want to listen to this again.
Almost, but not right now.
Anyway, so yeah, I really had issues with there being a literal incarnation of death, and having her be this malicious, sadistic, horrible bitch.
Yeah, death is supposed to be neutral.
Yeah, death is more of a neutral
Greek incarnation of death is at the very least, yeah.
Most incarnations of death are neutral. I mean, if there was a deity of murder, like there is in the Forgotten Realms, yes, that can be a sick, sadistic.
That would have been, that would have been more in line with what this was.
Yeah, it's basically playing on the fear of death and saying, well, then if there's a death, they must be causing death. Death isn't the cause; it's the guide. So I didn't really like this portrayal of it. It just seemed, let's just make it a malicious, evil entity, like every other entity the Doctor has to face.
Which makes you just kind of half grown.
I know DC has like 5 versions of death, so I can't even make that comparison.
There's only one really popular one though, and she's awesome.
But it hit me as being way too comic booky. way too, and not even good comic booky, because most of the good comic book versions
We're
of the death
talking
are pretty damn
like Copper or like Bronze Age comic booky. Like, this is just kind of grimdark for grimdark.
Yeah, it really kind of was. I mean, you mentioned the whole Thanos, the person Thanos was in love with. No, this is not the death that Thanos was in love with. This is not even close to.
Yeah, I just meant more of the basic concept, but yeah, I wasn't going deep with that.
And yeah, the fact that you're dealing with death, which is in itself a metaphysical concept, being personified in a sentient life form persona in this really irked me. It's one of those areas that really I think Doctor Who should have been a little more afraid to tread in.
Mm-hmm.
And instead they just blunderbust right in the way, and it's just like I get the feeling like, okay, this is death. Oh God, they just royally jumped the shark.
And while this is not the only story that Death appears in, I believe it is the only non-written story that Death appears in, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think that was a mistake by the books, and Big Finish just continued the mistake. Like I said, if this had been some kind of malicious prank from the
Black Guardian?
by the Black Guardian, or an immortal considering himself the god of murder or something like that.
Oh, actually, the only other audio is a novel adaptation. I mean, yeah, is a novel adaptation. So yeah, this is basically the only non-novel.
Yeah,
they learned their lesson apparently.
Yeah, that's just like, yeah, let's not do that again. It just was a bad concept. And it's too bad, because I was enjoying things up until that point, and then after that I'm just like, oh God.
And apparently Death is the grandchild of a companion, but I don't even want to know how or why. So
the books got weird.
Yes.
The books are freaking mental.
I can tell you, I jumped off the ship when in one of the 8th Doctor novels, he gets stranded basically in the Feywild, in the mythical, eerie, version of England, with a brigadier that had somehow lost his wife and been reduced in age, fighting a battle between the Seelie and Unseelie courts, with his TARDIS destroyed and his companion turning into one.
Yep.
His companion was turning into a TARDIS.
Yep.
Yes.
That's officially when you jump the ship.
I'm reading this by, this was a Paul Cornell book, by the way. And I'm reading this going, oh my God, what the fuck is up with these people? What the hell are they smoking?
Whatever it is, I think we need some in order to understand this.
I'm just like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm not buying any more of these books. I'm not wasting my money on this asinine stupidity. And then the new series came out, and they were using none of that, and I'm just like, thank you.
Thank you, God.
Oh, so yeah.
I read the Virgin novels now.
No, let's not say we did.
Somewhere in one of my things is that very novel, because I got it at a used bookstore.
There's also the fact that many of them are out of print and being sold for ridiculously high prices.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can probably find digital copies of them somewhere. Where, I'm not going to say. Because you can find digital copies of everything these days. Anyway.
The internet.
So, best scenes. Bill, what was your favorite scene?
I'm going to go with the scene where John Smith pretends to be the Master, because we get this extreme, fully sinister Master, like, juxtaposed in between these, scenes without him, and it's such a sharp difference and still effective.
Yes, I agree with you.
So does the music, apparently, whoever played that.
Oh, that came out of my headset. Something I had running popped up an ad. I'm trying to shut down most of this stuff. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I liked that scene. That was one of my favorites too, damn it. Okay, so who's next? That would be Matt.
Favorite scene. Again, I like this particular part. Some of the rest of it can go away because it doesn't quite mesh that well. But the whole bit about the Doctor and the Master being best of friends, running off together, making their plans originally to go out into space, until this bully keeps pushing them to the point that the Master finally breaks and kills the guy. That's an interesting background plot.
Actually, it wasn't the Master that killed him.
Yes, I know.
That was what they originally said.
Yeah.
Right.
And that part worked for me. And then they flipped it, and I'm like, oh, this is turning into horse shit.
Yeah. So as of that scene,
up to that point, that setup I was fine with. That was really interesting setup.
I agree.
Yeah. At that point, I was agreeing with that, and then they
then they butchered it, and then it's like, aww.
Okay, and Aaron, how about you? What was your favorite scene?
My scene, they're in the library again, talking about the nature of good and evil, and they start pointing out all these different books, one of which seems to be written by Bernice Summerfield's ancestor.
I noticed, actually.
I noticed a little reference like that, yeah.
I thought it was Bernice Summerfield herself. I thought they just...
okay.
I first thought so,
too. They just say Professor Summerfield, but she is a time traveler.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I noticed that shout out, and I'm like, yep. Pre-River Song, River Song. Yep, there we go.
Yep. That's a better way of doing it than the River Song. She was technically the prototype for River Song before they actually went with the idea.
Yeah, it really depends on who you ask, because I'm not sure how many Mary Sue boxes Bernie Summerfield ticked off, because I've only seen...
I'm only aware of a couple episodes of her, and they didn't tick off too many so far. They maybe ticked off one or two.
I think she was the first companion to sleep with the Doctor.
Yeah, that already puts her in bad.
What?
Okay. Well, unless you count the non-canon commercials with Romana.
Yeah, that already means she must die. I'm sorry. Anyway, she's non-canonical.
Thank God. Although, actually, did he mention her by name in Night of the Doctor?
No.
Okay.
Nope. He only mentioned the ones that died, I think.
No,
or he thought died.
He mentioned all the ones from the Big Finish audios.
Yeah. So that's why I was asking, did he mention Bernice?
No, because she was not really a main companion with him during the Big Finish era.
Yeah, for Big Finish, Benny's basically a Seventh Doctor companion. It's only really in the Virgin stuff that she dealt with 8.
Yep. And as we mentioned, the Virgin stuff gets fucked up.
So yeah, they've pretty much just gone meh with her and dodged the bullet.
Yep. Gave her own line of audios and just let her run in that. Anyway, so Tim, you're next. What was your favorite scene?
I liked the scene where Victor's wife, I forget her name, stands up for John Smith by saying that, when I was a kid, I stole something, or I shoplifted.
I stole pudding or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, whoever this master is, he's not the same person as John Smith, and this is my friend, like sort of... It's like the angel defense.
Essentially, the full-on nature helped make this man not nurture, or nurture made this man not nature originally.
Yeah,
he's very much a different man than what he used to be, whatever he used to be.
Yeah, and he can't be held accountable for
who he was before.
Yeah, and the Doctor finally decides to agree and starts to help.
Yep. And that's right before it jumped the shark.
And just before it jumped the shark, it did stupid, yep.
Okay, and I'm going to pass, as any scene I would have taken has been already mentioned.
Pretty much mentioned.
Alright, so scenes you didn't like, and Bill, you are first.
I'm going to go with the very specific scene of, it wasn't the Master, it was you, Doctor.
Ugh.
Yeah, the kind of linchpin on the main part that I don't like about the story.
It's actually pretty predictable too. They're trying to be unpredictable, and they wind up being super predictable.
They tried to twist on the twist, and it just made everything go back into reverse.
Although,
just,
was this predictable at the time? Because that's almost a Moffat twist.
Was it predictable at the time? Maybe. You gotta remember, they've always been trying to cook up something between the Doctor and the Master for a long time, and they've never really said what.
True.
Well, and it's also kind of a typical cliche with when you find out the hero is actually the villain.
Yeah.
Or responsible for causing much more pain than the villain, at least.
Yeah, the thing is, you just don't do that with the Doctor.
Because that's what screws up the story and the actual canonical abilities of the hero.
Because you got to keep dealing with the Doctor afterwards. Sure, if it's a one-shot protagonist and he turns out to be the villain, that's one thing. But
if you turn the main hero into a complete and total psychotic, and it's like, why? Why'd you do this? Why you do this? You ruin character.
Yeah. All right, so Matt, how about you?
Where did it go bad for me? The first worst scenes. I was not convinced by the Judicator being crazy. He was a little too hammy with it. I felt. He just went a little too far. He was almost like late classic Master. It was just like, we've already gone enough deep end, and now you just went completely.
And that's why I keep, I was falsely remembered. I think it's just partially that portrayal that I keep imagining it as she's trying to turn him into the new Master, and it keeps being no, that's not the actual case. But in some cases, I think the portrayal does make me think of that.
Yeah, it's just it's just too hammy.
I don't think she cared as long as she got her champion and her corpse pile. All right, Aaron, how about you? Oh wait, that was you.
No.
So I think that's me.
Yes, that's you.
Okay. And I didn't like the opening scene where the Doctor meets this assassin, and he says, "Here, let me tell you a story," because this is. It's supposed to be intriguing, but I thought Sylvester McCoy kind of underplayed it too much. In that is I have nothing better to do, so I'm going to tell this guy a story. I know it goes somewhere, but it just seemed kind of weak, the actual scene itself.
Well, it seems weak that the assassin would listen.
Yeah.
It was really kind of contrived there. It was kind of
when the guy just turned around and immediately knock out the Doctor and get ready to kill whoever he's going to kill.
It's especially for when he reveals that he knows his plan. Yeah.
Yeah, at that point he should have cut. I mean, a proper assassin, having been discovered, would have cut and run.
Yeah, at the very least.
Or shot the Doctor.
Or like I said, knocked him out because you want to be quiet.
Yeah, generally you want to cut and run, because if you start killing people there, you're getting sloppy. You're making mistakes.
You're getting sloppy, and you're making enough noise that you're going to be noticed.
Right. So the deal as an assassin there is if you're discovered, you usually flee, and you try again from a different point. That's kind of how assassination...
Oh, yeah, a different point. Yeah, I was going to say, it depends on the consequences for failure, but yeah, I guess from a different... If there is a different vantage point, then that would be the most
different vantage point, or killing them in their hotel room later or something. You usually have a secondary plan you go to. But yeah, it was just, this one was kind of forced.
Well,
Randy knows a lot of first-hand experience.
Well, he has played all the Assassin's Creed games.
He's played Assassin's Creed. I've played Tenchu and God knows how many other stealth games. Thief is a good series. Should actually get to the Thief series one of these days.
Oh, don't you know, Bill? It was me on the grassy knoll.
And I'm the one that hit his tracks.
Okay. All right, so we're up to me, and my least favorite moment is the casually, oh, by the way, he's been killing the prostitutes, and she's in love with Dr. Smith. It's like, just the absolute,
Thud.
let's just promptly erase the fact that there was this nice mystery brewing. Just by this oh-so-casual reveal.
See,
The thud that echoed.
I guess that goes back to how you described it as comic booky. Because I feel like that happens a lot in comics, where just a new plot point comes and it's just like, oh yeah, there was an ongoing plot. Well, here's the end of that.
I hate that.
Yeah, it's usually because of like bad writing or switching writers or something.
Yeah.
Right.
They just haphazardly, let's conclude this thud.
Or they never did know how that plot was going to end and wanted to wrap it up quickly.
And move along, even though the fans are like, wait, no.
It's just one of those things that I hate, and I was, actually I love detective stories and mysteries like that because, it intrigues at least a portion of my psyche. But
yeah, they could have spent less time padding and more time actually doing the stuff like that to get us to the realization of those reveals instead.
Yeah, I would have actually liked if the three of them had sat down and actually started profiling the killer. Like a la Criminal Minds in a way.
Or something, yeah.
But we get none of that. Instead, we get a lot of metaphysical conversations, followed by the entrance of death and the big fucking reveal. Wasted.
As subtle being written on a sledgehammer and being smashed into someone's face.
So yeah, that's what I didn't like. Alright, so time to pony up with our final thoughts. Unless anybody has anything else they want to pad out, because we got time to pad.
Is there like any kind of conclusion with this whole Death versus Doctor thing?
No.
No. So in other words, even the plot itself is a waste of a plot.
Yes.
I mean, this is one of the 3 stories that were made to showcase various villains of the Master in preparation for the 40th anniversary special.
You mean various villains of the Doctor?
I mean, yeah, sorry.
You said the various villains of the Master.
It was what, Omega, Davros, and Master, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Fair enough.
And then Zagreus, of course, as its own wrap-up for the 8th Doctor plot.
At least that portion of the 8th Doctor plot.
Yeah, it kind of kicked off a new season.
It was the big season finale lead into the next season of the 8th Doctor.
Yeah, I didn't really like how this audio adventure ended.
Yeah, the first half of it was amazing. I really loved the first half. The second half just kind of jumped at a shark and just kept tumbling over head over heel.
Yeah, it started good, but endeth weaketh.
Yeah, it ended in a time loop. He goes back, or they
yeah, the Master ended in a time loop, technically.
Well, no,
because it does have an ending, like time or death reverse time, and the Master made a different choice.
They don't really tell you what that choice was fully, except, of course, the fact that we see
we know that the Master comes back, and yeah.
So we can kind of guess, but still, yeah.
Yeah, Death recreated the Master, which is also really painstakingly stupid when you had such a good setup of the Master no longer being the Master like that anymore.
Yeah, but before there was the Chameleon Circuit.
I will say that I really like that the choice the Master had to made is it mirrors a choice that the Doctor has had to make a lot of times, in the sense that it's, this one life in front of you versus the hypothetical lives, and the Doctor almost always says, whatever the consequences, I must save my companion. And that's kind of what the Master does here. Whatever the consequences, I must save this one woman.
Whereas the Doctor would also go back into time and try and save as many other extra people here and there. The Master doesn't care and just wants to do the one save.
The Doctor would have made sure to do it without killing Victor.
Yeah, he would have not gone for the murder. He would have gone for option C.
Yeah, he would have found a way. But still, again,
To quote the Fifth Doctor, there's got to be a better way.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I just didn't like that they got railroaded into that choice, really. Ugh.
And that's part of when you bring in, the anthropomorphic embodiment of a metaphysical concept. You're sort
And you
of
do it
stuck
poorly.
eventually doing what she says because she is a literal god who can do whatever the hell she feels like it until you do it.
And that's the thing, though. The Doctor's gone up against gods before and won.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Or ran
By the
away.
skin of his teeth, but he has won.
I mean, he destroyed the ancient gods of Ragnarok. He keeps frickin' Fenrir locked up in a jar
And
in the basement of a church.
the idea is that John Smith will become evil because it's like, I will become the master, and then I'll be evil because that's what the master is.
He can't keep death locked in a jar because then you get Miracle Day.
Mhm.
But he,
Dun, dun,
there's
dun.
definitely it would definitely be like a Black Guardian situation.
Anyway, shall we go on with our final thoughts, or?
I suppose it's about
Yeah,
time.
I think so.
Yeah.
All right. So, Bill, you're up first.
Yep. So the first half of this audio is really good to the point where it influences the score more than the second half, regardless of some of the missteps of the second half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just think there's so much with that setup, and especially the performance as well. That's just really great. And that part is more good than the bad parts are bad.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
just despite what problems I do have with it, I still strongly recommend it.
All right. Matt?
The performances were really great until that last bit. The setups were amazing. The ideas that they were working with were grandiose and were going somewhere. And then they sadly jumped that shark and fell hell over heels. But the first half or so still makes up for any of the major faults. Thankfully, they decided not to follow this one up with the faults at the end. So take the good that you can out of the little bit of bad here.
Mhm.
All right. Aaron?
I love how once again Big Finish delivers a decent Victorian Gothic kind of murder mystery at least in the beginning. Doesn't quite follow it through like maybe they should have. But I also enjoy some of the heady kind of nature and the topics that are being discussed. Again, I wish I could have seen more of that in this instead of the whole death thing. But still, I would also recommend this.
All right. Tim?
I think the main problem is not the story, but just the telling of the story. Like it's a good story, and I like the gothic elements and the performers of the characters, but it gets bogged down in some of the ideas it's trying to present, and it's like this is not a casual listen. Like you really have to take the time to like sit down and listen to this story. Is what I really took from it. It's like so you shouldn't have any distractions when you're listening to this story.
All right. So, unlike the others, I really can't recommend this story. I felt like all of its potential, it did set itself up well with a strong first half, if a little slow. But the second half completely goes off the rails, leaving you with this sense of incompleteness and basically just a feeling like you just wasted your time because everything that was set up was basically torn down and not really replaced with anything worthwhile. So while the acting's good, and even the person playing Death acted well, it's just a lot of the writing and a lot of the basic plot of it just hurts it in every possible way. So I can't recommend this one. So here we go. It is time for the ratings game. And I believe you're up first, Bill.
So I'm going to go with probably a 4 out of 5.
4, huh? All right. Matt, I believe.
I'm pretty much there as well. 4 out of 5.
All right. Aaron?
I'm actually going to go 4.5.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's really generous. Tim?
I'm gonna think it's a 4, but it's not as low as a 3, so I'll say it's a 3.5.
Oh.
Mm.
Negating Aaron's 4.5.
Yeah.
Bring us back to 4.
I am going to take it lower because I have to give this one under a 3. Because so much wasted potential that just left me feeling like this just wasted my time, and that's a 2.5.
It's just that the story is good, but the telling of the story.
It's not the telling, Tim. It's the writing of the story. The writing of the story just completely fell on its face in the last act.
Yeah, the conveyance. I mean, is what I'm saying, or is trying to say is like, and that's the thing that matters to me, at least, in like how much I like a story or if I'd recommend it.
Well, for me, it's like they set you up, but then they completely destroy the payoff.
Yeah, the payoff just suddenly comes in like a sledgehammer and kind of ruins everything.
Like a person telling what was a really good joke, and then gives you the worst fucking punchline ever. Yeah, it just, No, I just absolutely.
Yeah, it's more or less like they started up a really good long form joke, and then all of a sudden they ended it with two nuts walked down the road.
Yeah, it's like they ended it with
explained the punchline
to get to the other side. Yeah, like what?
No, the one was when one was assaulted. Two nuts walking down the road.
No, it's worse than that. It just I don't know. I
don't know. That one gets enough groans if you do it.
For me, it absolutely. I kind of like I want my time back. I could have been listening to Critical Role and enjoying myself. Instead, I feel kind of wasted. So, no. This, by the way, averaged out.
So wait, does that negate your score then? We take off the high and the low scores.
We've never actually.
We talked about it, but we've never done that, Aaron.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've made comparisons because sometimes they're outliers, but we never actually have done that.
Yeah.
It's still counted.
Yeah, so my score is still counted too.
Yes.
No, I said that Tim's 3 point, since everybody up till there had been hitting 4, Tim's 3.5 counterbalanced your 4.5, averaging it down to 4, and then I brought it down even lower.
So what, a 3.7?
3.7 is what it averaged out to. And that, by the way, puts it at number 136 out of 234. So my vote alone put it into the lower half.
Yes. Shame.
And I do agree that I think of the trilogy that it concludes that it's the weakest.
At least that ending is the weakest. Oh my god, that whole ending is horrendous. But it's so good at the first half. You should just stop it before when the doctor explains the background between him and the master and just cut it off there.
And that I could have dealt with that, or I could have dealt with them just dealing with that instead of once death is introduced into the game, the whole thing just goes to shit.
Yeah, and I believe is that the end of part 3 or the end of part 2 that death comes in?
I can't.
Death comes in, I think, at the end of part 2, because part 3, toward the end of part 3, I think is the reveal that it's all the doctor's fault.
So yeah, the death reveal is a bit cheesy, and then it slowly continues to stumble harder and harder.
Yeah, the plot goes to hell faster than an Uwe Boll film. So 3.7 puts it on par with Flatline, The Moon Base, The Daleks, Big Finish the Innocent, A Big Finish Destroyer of Delights, Smile, and The Claws of Axos. It is better than Sarah Jane Adventures The Gift, Resurrection of the Daleks, Full Circle, Tomb of the Cybermen, The Woman Who Lived, Big Finish Dust Breeding, which I think we did not that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
2 or 3 weeks ago, yeah.
The Doctor, the Widow, the Wardrobe, and Class Detained, but it is not as good as The Keeper of Traken, Boomtown, Ghostlight, Enemy of the World, Invasion of the Bane, which we also just did,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Girl in the Fireplace, Invasion Earth 2150, End of the World, Day of the Daleks, Red House, Robot of Sherwood, and the Extremis trilogy, or better known as the Pyramid
This
trilogy.
is still better than the best episode of one of the best episodes of Class.
The Time Monster, and Power of the Daleks. So there we go. 136 out of 234. That's all we have to say about Master.
All right, so if you enjoy listening to us, please follow us at twitch.tv/unearthlypodcast and an Unearthly Podcast on YouTube. You can also like and follow for news and updates at facebook.com/unearthlypodcast and twitter.com/unearthlypod. And if you want to support us, you can head on over to patreon.com/unearthlypodcast.
And next week, and now we move on to the Fourth Doctor, as opposed to when I thought we were going to at the end of last week's. We are going to now listen to some Big Finish Tom Baker in the Fourth Doctor Adventures Trail of the White Worm. Written by Alan Barnes and starring Tom Baker as the Doctor, Louise Jameson as Leela, and Geoffrey Beevers as the Master. And we will be continuing that, I think, for what, 3 weeks? 2 weeks?
There's 3 weeks, I think, of Fourth Doctor, but it's a two-parter and then a separate.
The White Worm. Is the Fourth Doctor going to ride the Maker?
I was
All
gonna
right.
say, these are all Big Finish audios then?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's a good thing I re-upped for Spotify.
Well, I don't know. These might not be on Spotify yet.
The first two are. The third one is not.
Okay. So
We'll work it out when we get there.
We will go on to Trail of the White Worm next week, and then we have some other stuff that we will be dealing with. We'll be doing Big Finish until March.
Woohoo!
February's Big Finish month. Yay.
So see you then.
Yay.
Bye bye.
Good night.
Good night.